Dear students, today I am going to discuss about network theorems.
This network theorem is included in your BSc second semester physics major courses in the paper of electricity and magnetism. Today's topic contains the ideal constant voltage source and ideal constant current source, then Thevenin's theorem, Norton's theorem, superposition theorem, and reciprocity theorem, and maximum power transfer theorem. Now, before going to discuss about network theorems, you should know what is a electrical network. Any electrical network is a circuit consists of some circuit element like resistance, capacitor, inductance with source of EMF or current source, or with branches of circuit.
An electrical network may be a simplest circuit or a complex circuit with different branches or combination of several circuits. There are two types of circuit elements: passive circuit element and active element. The resistor, inductor and capacitor with two terminals are regarded as passive elements, as they are not fundamental sources of power. The elements which feed the power into the circuit are called active elements. There are two types of active elements: voltage source and current sources. The amplifier, oscillator are also called active devices. The output power exceeds the input power for active devices. Next, what are constant ideal voltage source and constant ideal current source? An ideal voltage source is an active device which can maintain a constant voltage across its terminal, irrespective of the current supplied by it. It is also called constant voltage source. It is always equal to the open circuit voltage. An ideal voltage source has zero internal impedance. The IV curves for an ideal voltage source is always horizontal for different values of load resistance. An ideal voltage source is not practically possible. All voltage sources have some internal impedance. When a load ZL is connected to a voltage source which generates EMF EG with its internal impedance ZI, then the current through the load is IL equal to EG by ZI plus ZL. Then the terminal voltage across the load VL, which is the product of IL and ZL, which is equal to EG minus EG by ZI plus ZL into ZI. Again you get VL equal to EG by 1 plus ZI by ZL. When ZI equal to 0, VL equal to EG, and it become an ideal source. Thus, a voltage source of 0 or negligible internal impedance can be considered as an ideal voltage source. Then ideal constant current source. An ideal constant current source is one which can supply a constant current whatever the load resistance may be connected across its terminals. An ideal current source has infinite internal resistance. The IV curve for an ideal current source is always vertical for different values of load resistance. An ideal current source is not practically possible. We consider a practical current source I0 of internal impedance or resistance Zi, which is connected with the load ZL. Then the source current I0 divides into two parts: II through the internal impedance and IL through the load. That means I0 equal to II plus IL. Since Zi and ZL are parallel, we can say I into Zi equal to IL into ZL. And then we will get IL equal to I0 by 1 plus ZL by Zi. For small value of the ratio ZL by Zi, that is when ZL by Zi is very less than 1, the load current is nearly constant. The source behaves as an ideal current source. Thus, a practical current source with comparatively high internal resistance can be considered as an ideal current source. We can convert any voltage source into current source or any current source into a voltage source. A given voltage source with a series resistance can be converted into an equivalent current source with a parallel resistance. So as shown in the circuit, if IL is the load current and EG is the generated voltage, then load voltage is VL equal to EG minus IL ZI. Therefore, load current is IL equal to EG by ZI minus VL by ZI. This second equation is the Kirchhoff's circuit law equation for the circuit V, where a current source generated current EG by ZI shunted by the impedance ZI supplies current to the load impedance ZL. It is seen that EG by ZI is the current at the terminals A and B when these terminals are short-circuited. Thus, the circuit B and circuit C are equivalent with respect to the load terminals A and B. These two circuits illustrate the conversion of a voltage source to an equivalent current source and vice versa for finite value of Zi other than 0. Inversely, a current source with a parallel resistance can be converted into an equivalent voltage source with a series resistance. Next, we will discuss some network theorems. Now, why network theorems? We know that the basic laws of electricity are Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's law. Using these two laws, we can determine the current, voltage, etc. of any circuit. But it is very difficult to solve a complex circuit using these two equations. To make the analytical solution easy, the complicated electrical circuit or networks are simplified by applying some theorems which are known as network theorems. These theorems enable us to convert a network into a simpler circuit equivalent to the original. There are generally two methods to analyze the electrical networks. One is a direct method. Direct method is used only for simple circuits without changing the circuit. Kirchhoff's law, superposition theorem, loop analysis, and reciprocity theorem are some theorems generally used to analyze simple electrical network. Another method is network reduction method. For quick calculation of different voltages and currents in the network, the original network is changed into much simpler equivalent circuits. Thevenin's theorem, Norton theorem are some theorems used in analyzing the network in network reduction method. Now, let us discuss these network theorems one by one. First, Thevenin's theorem. Thevenin's theorem is very useful in simplifying the process of solving for the unknown values of voltage and current in a network. By Thevenin's theorem, many sources and components, no matter how they are interconnected, can be represented by an equivalent series circuit with respect to any pair of terminals in the network. What is the statement? Now, statement of the Thevenin's theorem. Any two-terminal linear network containing voltage source and linear resistances may be replaced with an equivalent circuit consisting of a single voltage source of EMF, a Thevenin's voltage VTH, and internal resistance, Thevenin resistance RTH in series. The value of Thevenin's voltage VTH is equal to open circuit voltage between same terminals of the network, and Thevenin's resistance RTH is equal to the resistance appearing the same terminals of the network when all the sources are replaced by their internal impedances only. Imagine that the block at the left contains a network connected to terminals A and V. Thevenin's theorem states that the entire network connected to A and V can be replaced by a single voltage source VTH in series with a single resistance RTH connected to the same two terminals. Now we will see how to Theveninize a circuit. Consider a simple network with voltage source V1 and internal resistance Ri. First, remove the load resistance RL from the load terminals, and then now determine the open circuit voltage across the two terminals from where the load is removed. This gives the Thevenin's voltage VTH. Next, the voltage source V1 is short circuited, and if there are any current source, then open circuited them. Then load is disconnected. Since the voltage source have internal resistance Ri, therefore the voltage source is replaced here by its internal resistance Ri. And then we calculate the equivalent resistance across the terminals A and B, which gives the Thevenin's resistance RTH across the terminals. Then draw the Thevenin's equivalent circuit of the network with a single voltage source VTH and single resistance RTH. Then connect the load resistance RL across the terminals A and B. Now it becomes a simple circuit. Then we can calculate the load current by using Ohm's law. Say IL equal to VTH by RTH plus RL. Thus, by applying Thevenin's theorem, any complex circuit become very simple, and applying Ohm's law we can calculate current easily. Next, Norton's theorem. Norton's theorem is used to simplify a network in terms of currents instead of voltages. For current analysis, Norton's theorem can be used to reduce a network to a simple parallel circuit with a current source. Statement of the Norton's theorem. Any two-terminal active network containing voltage source and resistances can be replaced by a current source IN, which is known as Norton current, in parallel with a resistance RN, which is known as Norton resistance. The current IN is equal to that obtained through a short circuit across the two terminals, and the resistance Rn is that viewed across the two terminals when all the voltage sources are replaced by their internal resistances only. Norton's theorem states that the entire network connected to a terminals A and B can be replaced by a single current IN in parallel with a single resistance RL. The value of IN is equal to the short circuit current through AB terminals, and the value of RN is the resistance looking back from open terminals A and B. Now, procedure for Nortonizing a circuit. Here again we consider the previous network with voltage source V1 and internal resistance Ri. First, remove the load resistance RL from the load terminals A and B and insert a short circuit across it. Determine the current through these short terminals across AB. This gives the Norton's current IN. Next, removing the short, open circuit the terminals. Then short circuit all the voltage sources. Here the voltage source V1 is replaced by its internal resistance Ri. If there are any current sources, the open circuit the current sources. Then calculate the equivalent resistance across the terminals A and B. This gives the Norton's resistance Rn across the two terminals. Then draw the Norton's equivalent circuit of the network with single current source IN and single resistance Rn. Connect the load resistance across the terminals A and B. Then calculate the load current by using the Ohm's law. Here IL equal to IN into Rn by RL. Thus, using Norton's theorem, the circuit becomes simple and we can calculate current easily. Any network can be represented by a voltage source and series resistance according to Thevenin's theorem. And Norton's theorem states that the same network can be represented by a current source and shunt resistance. Therefore, it is possible to convert directly from a Thevenin's form to Norton's form and vice versa. If VTH and RTH are the Thevenin's voltage and Thevenin's resistance of any network, then Norton current is IN equal to VTH by RTH and Norton resistance is RN equal to RTH. These relations are used to convert Thevenin's equivalent to Norton's equivalent circuit. Inversely, one can convert Norton's equivalent to Thevenin's by using the relation Thevenin's voltage VTH equal to IN into RN and Thevenin's resistance RTH equal to RN. Next, superposition theorem. Superposition theorem extends the use of Ohm's law to linear circuit that have more than one sources. It states that in any linear network containing linear resistances and more than one voltage sources, the current flowing in any element is equal to the algebraic sum of the currents that would separately flow in that element by each voltage source separately, all other sources being replaced at that time by their respective internal resistances, if any. Now, how can we apply the superposition theorem? Consider an example of network with two voltage sources V1 and V2 and three resistances R1, R2 and R3. First, accept one source, short circuit all other voltage sources and open circuit all other current sources. If the voltage sources have internal resistance, then remove them by their respective internal resistances. Then calculate the currents through various resistors and the voltage drop across them can be calculated. Say first we consider the source V1 only and other source V2 is short circuited. Current through the resistances are then say I1 dash, I2 dash and I3 dash respectively through the resistances R1, R2 and R3. Next, consider the circuit having the source V2 only, then V1 is short circuited. Say for this, the current through the resistance R1, R2, R3 are I1 double dash, I2 double dash and I3 double dash respectively. If there are several sources, then one have to calculate the current through each resistance for each source of EMF individually, short circuiting the other sources. Then add the all currents and voltage drops over a resistor due to different sources found. Here the actual value of current through the resistance is R1, R2 and R3 are I1 dash plus I1 double dash, I2 dash plus I2 double dash and I3 dash plus I3 double dash respectively. Also from this we can calculate the voltage drop for a particular resistance. The superposition theorem is valid for those circuits having only linear and bilateral components such as resistors, capacitors and air core inductors. Next, reciprocity theorem. The theorem states that in any linear network with impedances and a single voltage source or a single current source, the current in one mesh due to an EMF in another mesh is equal to the current in the latter when the same EMF is placed in the former. In other words, the interchanges of an ideal current source and an ideal voltage source in a circuit will not change the voltmeter and ammeter readings. This may also be stated as in any linear network, if a source of EMF V located in one mesh produces a current I2 in the second mesh, then if the same source V is placed in the second mesh and it produces current I1 in the first mesh, then I2 equal to I1. Here in the network as shown, the input and output terminals are AB and PQ respectively. When an EMF V is connected across AB, current I is produced across PQ. When the EMF V is connected across PQ, according to reciprocity theorem, the current through the terminals AB will be I. Next, maximum power transfer theorem. Maximum power transfer theorem states that maximum power is delivered to a load RL connected to network when the load resistance is equal to the internal resistance Ri of the network delivering the power. To verify it, consider a network consists of a voltage source and some resistance. The output of the network is connected to a load RL. The Thevenin's equivalent circuit of the network is given by circuit B. The voltage across the load is open circuit voltage at the output terminals, which is say VOC. Thus, from the circuit B, the power delivered to the load is PL equal to IL squared RL, and substituting the values we will get PL equal to VOC squared divided by Ri plus RL whole square into RL. Now maximum power will be delivered to the load when dPL by dRL becomes equal to 0. Therefore, we will get dPL dRL equal to 0, putting the values of PL, and after solving we will get Ri equal to RL. This shows that maximum power will be delivered to the load when load resistance is equal to the input resistance of the network. Using this maximum power transfer theorem, we will get the maximum power PL maximum, which will be equal to V naught C whole square by 4 RL. Then total power down from the source is PT, which will be equal to half of PL maximum. Thus, maximum power delivered to load under match condition, that means Ri equal to RL, is 50% of the total power down from the source. This is all about your network theorems as per your syllabus. And next we will try to solve some problems using these network theorems in our next class. Thank you.